Hey guys, it's me, Betty, and I am here with Dan Hirt. Say hi, Dan.
Hello, Dan.
Wow. Dan, I know that you recently graduated from the eLearning Launch First Launch AR Cohort and the Advanced AR Cohort. Way to go.
Thank you.
I want to kind of talk about your journey through these cohorts. So let's start with this, because you and I, we've known each other for a little while. I mean, we're coming up on a year, Dan. That's like
we are, aren't we? I think it was last March or something like that, right?
That's
Maybe
like
even February,
long term for a social media relationship. I'm just saying. So before you came to the first launch class, you and I had talked about AR. In fact, I think there is a very long documented podcast about AR and your feelings. What podcast is that, by the way?
It's called the Mosby Learning Podcast. It's a little bit out of circulation at the moment, but I'm sure it'll come back soon. So that's my attempt at a podcast. And we did talk a lot about AR and all those things. And yeah, I had opinions. I still have opinions, but those opinions may have changed. I reserve the right.
But let's unpack that. Tell me how you felt about AR. Tell me what your initial thoughts, feelings, emotional outbursts were about it.
So, and I don't know if this is a me thing, but I am rather skeptical at the beginning of ideas. I have a history of this, but my thoughts around AR and I had kind of put AR and VR in a group together. And I think largely it's because I didn't technically know enough. Well, I knew they were different, but I still grouped them together as both being more or less ridiculous when it comes to training applications or learning applications. That's genuinely where I was, right?
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous is I think that's the word I would use. I think it largely stems from ignorance, but the idea, the impression that I have, let's go with the impression that I had of how we use things like this is, we would end up doing customer service training, but we'd be on the moon. So it'd be like exciting. And I thought that was stupid. And I think that idea is stupid, but then I realized that's not necessarily what this is. It's a very different beast. So that's where I started. That's where the kernel of my own ridiculous began.
So your initial thoughts were it's adding in complexity where we don't need to add complexity. It's not adding any value.
Exclusively sizzle. That's all I thought it was adding. Was exclusively sizzle.
I remember you saying that. All sizzle, no steak.
There you go.
Fast forward a little bit to now. You've completed both of these courses.
Yep.
What are your raw feelings about it now?
I kind of equate it to someone that's just been introduced to a spoon, that never used a spoon before. And had they seen a spoon just laying there on the side of the road, they say, well, that's a stupid spoon. What's it for? But then they used a spoon and they realized, oh, I see now. So there is a definite application. I think that in the same way that e-learning is a tool and PowerPoint's a tool and jokes are a tool, these are all various tools that you can apply to, I kind of like to use the term holistic approach to learning. Or I look at it like an ecosystem, because there's all these different things that we can do, and I just wasn't clear about the application for this in there. My exposure is still fairly limited because I've gone through the two cohorts, which both were quite different, hosted by yourself and a good friend of yours, Destry, handsome fellow, and the differences were stark, and even in the first...
He will love that you said that.
But even in the first class, I mean, the first project, I didn't even know what I was doing. Those comments are actually in the first assignment that I did. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing this for. I don't get it yet. But I didn't, but we were just kind of learning the mechanics. And then I learned a little bit more of the application and that sort of stuff. So I still wasn't convinced the first round. And I mean, genuinely, I took the course because it was reasonably priced. And I thought, let's finally just see what the hell the deal is. Because maybe there's something. I surely doubt it, but maybe there's something. But there was, yeah.
Yeah. So you signed up for the first launch. And like you mentioned, you showed up, you created your first assignment. The augmented reality experience was pushing information or a video to the user. So initially you were like, okay, I still don't really, this is still kind of dumb.
Yeah. I was just holding the spoon. I didn't know it went in my mouth with food on it.
You were like,
at that point, yeah.
Hitting yourself in the head with
right.
it.
Yeah, this hat is terrible.
I love the spoon analogy. I'm so happy with it. Then here comes the second one. And the second one, I believe, was like an information menu. So to provide information through a menu. Did that change your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that probably was the big one that changed my mind quite a bit. And immediately my mind jumped to a new hire orientation for a distributed workforce. This can give me a consistent experience and an engaging one across the board for everybody. So that was kind of the first one where I saw, okay, well, here's a menu. I can send people information about this or that. There, maybe I could put a video in there, like an intro video from a leader in the organization or somebody, So that was a big one that turned the corner, actually, that project.
Yeah. So you got the spark. You got the taste for it. You figured out how to put the spoon in your mouth. Now you're like, okay, what can I eat with this, right? Yeah. You decided to come to the advanced AR cohort, which is awesome. Yeah. What in that course helped you take your thinking to a new level? Because while you are learning a skill, you're learning a program, this is also challenging you to think differently about the way you design learning.
There were a couple things that were in there. One was the nature of each of the projects, showing us something that's a little bit different. And it just seemed like there were these moments where everything was still kind of blurry, and then they just snapped real quick into place. And I thought, oh, that's a thing. Yes, let's do that. And then the other piece was, seeing what the other people in the classes were doing too. In the course, every class we'd say, okay, how do we think we can use this? You'd say that. And then we'd all answer. And then you might hear somebody say something clever and say, oh, I kind of latch onto that and twist that a little bit. That might work for me. And actually the different people that you had in the class, because they were coming from different perspectives, some were independent contractors, some were, full-on IDs in an organization, and everybody was bringing a different flavor of question or idea. Kind of just say, oh, well, here's more of a buffet that you can tackle with your spoon. Here's more things that you can maybe have a look at and try. Yeah, that was a real plus.
Grab your spoon, scoot your chair up, and start eating. Yeah.
I have socialized it.
Like it's your JOB.
That's right.
That's right.
And I'm working on a pitch deck right now to bring it to the powers that be. I've already seen a couple like slam dunk. I can use it for that, and that. I can't use it for that with what I do, but I know that they can use it for that thing over there. So again, it's a tool. That's kind of what I've found. It's a tool that I'm going to use that tool a little bit, but then there's two other people in a couple other departments that are probably going to use that tool too. Augmented
reality is like you said, a tool in the toolbox as you build your blended learning solutions. Yeah. It is very rarely the solution. Mm-hmm. It is most often part of a bigger solution. So you went from balderdash, this is ridiculous, to how would you describe AR now?
That I'm a true believer now.
Good. Good. So ridiculous toy.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Dan.
You got it.